Hello and welcome in, Lofsiders, to part 3 of the NFL team previews. We're going to do the New York Jets. I realized that I was going in alphabetical order for the AFC East and then have skipped the Patriots to go to the Jets because I'm a Patriots fan. I'm going to save the best for last. Hint, they won't be the best. But we're starting with the New York Jets, and the New York Jets have always been kind of that team in the division that I just wanted to see in last place every year. I won't make that a secret. I won't make that a secret here in this as well, because I don't think that they're going to be the best NFL team for the 2025 year, for 2025. But I think that they're probably moving in the right direction. And it could be part that I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan, wasn't really a fan of the move for them to do that anyway. I thought it was going to go better than it did. It obviously didn't go that well. But we'll get into all of that going forward. So the Jets last year, as I mentioned, didn't go according to plan. They spent a ton of money to keep Aaron Rodgers happy, and they went 5-12, which delighted me. So 5-12 last year. They lost 6 games when leading in the fourth quarter. So they had a problem with keeping any lead late in games. They lost. They were 3-7 in one-score games last year. They ended up firing head coach Robert Saleh. I heard some people referring to him as Bob Saleh today, which was interesting. But Robert Saleh was fired in the middle of last year. Jeff Ulbrich finished the season as the interim. And then they went out and got Aaron Glenn to be their head coach. So he was the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions last year. He's a former Jet, and I think probably has that right attitude as far as the head coaching position going into this. They also got a new general manager. As I mentioned, they lost 6 games when leading in the fourth quarter, which was the huge problem that the team seemed to give up halfway through. And it didn't get any better once Robert Saleh left the building. It didn't get any better. Aaron Rodgers, they ended up going out and getting Devontae Adams. They ended up going out and trying to really kind of band-aid a lot of this stuff. A lot of stuff came out of the front office from Woody Johnson. Again, not the best owner as far as the NFL is concerned. The one thing that has appeared so I did a show at the beginning of this whole Lopside Banter experiment about the player grades for the NFL teams, and you got to see what the players thought about the place that they worked. And the Jets in the locker room were a terrible grade. Well, that's been fixed, and we've seen some stuff come out on social media where players are walking in. They have this new technology for their lockers and everything else. They seem happy. So it's a good step for Woody Johnson and this front office. They're on their 9th straight losing season, and they're 14th without making the playoffs, which is crazy. I could have sworn they were in the playoffs like a couple years ago, but apparently not. So this season, they're going to open up with 3 straight playoff teams, which doesn't bode well for them. But they do close the season with 5 non-playoff teams from 2024. So again, if everything kind of plays out the same way, they're going to suck at the beginning of the year, and then they're going to have a decent run towards the end, which could be something to build off of. A lot of the other ins for this team have to do with some of that skill position and stuff like that. So Justin Fields is your new starting quarterback. And I'll be honest, I hated this move because I didn't want to see Justin Fields go to the Jets. I still believe in Justin Fields. I believe his athleticism and the fact that he's 26 years old. He still has a lot to give. He went to a Bears team that just didn't build around him all that well. The offensive line sucked for years up until last year when he wasn't even on the team. He was in Pittsburgh for 1 year, had a 4-2 record before Russell Wilson came back, and they switched over to Russell Wilson, which I thought was a strange move. I thought at that point in time you might as well keep kind of a hot hand. But he has these great plays where he can get out of trouble, extend plays, get somebody open, and make everything happen. And then he has just boneheaded plays that you look at, you're staring at your television going, what the hell was he thinking? And again, we're all fans here. We're all sitting, watching, and understanding that we can't do anything that Justin Fields can do. But 2 years, $40 million, $30 million of that guaranteed. So I think he's going to he has the job. The job is his. He's going to be able to build into that role. he has a decent wide receiving core. I mean, he's got a number one at least. And then from there, we're talking a good offensive line that's looked really good. Probably going to be an above average unit. We'll kind of go into some of their starters and depth chart and stuff like that a little bit later. But Justin Fields was the big pickup from the Steelers. Tyler Johnson, the wide receiver from the Rams. He only had 26 catches last year, about 300 yards, 291 to be exact. Going into that wide receiver room, Byron Cowart came over from the Bears. Josh Myers, center from the Packers, started all 16 games last year. Ahmed Membu was their first-round draft pick, which was the climber towards the end of, all of the team practices or, draft day, evaluations and everything like that. He came out of Missouri. He was one of those late risers that kind of got himself up into the top 10. Was projected at some points to go number 4 to the Patriots. The Patriots went with Will Campbell, obviously, so that meant Membu kind of fell to that 7 range with the Jets. Needing that other offensive tackle, very raw, but has looked really good in the first 6 days of training camp. So again, we're not talking like he's had all this time to show all this, but for at least the 6 days, and everybody will do this. Everybody within the training camp era will talk themselves into how good their team looks. I've probably already done it. I know there's other fans of other teams that have definitely already done it. But, we're talking about a weekend, and he's upright. He's not injured. He's not missing practices, and he's looked good. So Jets fans are going to take that as a positive. Their second-round pick was Mason Taylor, who's also looked really good. I've seen some clips of Justin Fields and Mason Taylor just connecting quite a bit in practice. But Mason Taylor, the tight end out of LSU. The outs, and I don't really see how, from the names that I've mentioned to the names I'm about to mention that have gone out the door, how your team improves. Now, it's going to be a rebuild. Let's rip the tape off now and just say, at least this season, we're going to talk about a rebuild for the New York Jets. They had undergone a significant amount of roster turnover, moving from, I think it was 7th last year to the 28th ranked in age. So they're one of the younger teams now in the league, whereas they were one of the older ones last year. Obviously getting Aaron Rodgers off the books and out of the building, which, if you believe the story, was they called Aaron Rodgers into the Jets facilities. Aaron Glenn basically walked in after Aaron Rodgers sitting there for 10 minutes and went, "Hey, we're going to cut you. Thanks. Bye." Which in this business is kind of how it goes. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers probably expected a little bit more respect. Oh, I've been a MVP. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm this and that. Well, you did nothing in 2 years with the New York Jets. Now, the first year you got injured on the first time you dropped back and you ruptured your Achilles. I get it. It sucks. But you had all last year with them putting everything around you that you wanted. And it still didn't go to plan, if you will. Let's take a look. We'll pull up their roster as we go through. But Aaron Rodgers leaves, goes over to the Steelers. Now, the interesting thing is the Steelers and the Jets play week 1. So there's your storyline. Already week 1 in the NFL, you're going to be having Aaron Rodgers playing his former team and Justin Fields playing his former team. The NFL will live with that, right? It will add some sort of sparks to a game that may not really be great. I'm not very high on the Steelers, and when I get to them, you'll hear that as well. Devontae Adams has gone to the Rams. Morgan Moses, their right offensive tackle, has gone to the Patriots. He was 34 years old, so again, kind of one of those moves that's like, all right, we got to get younger at that position. Here comes Ahmed Membu, and then Morgan Moses is the one that obviously didn't. And the Patriots threw a bunch of money at him. They still have all the money in the world. Hassan Reddick left, DJ Reed, cornerback, Jalen Mills, safety, Greg Zuerlein, kicker, and Thomas Morstead, their punter. So a whole different kind of special teams kind of setup. But, you still have building blocks along this team. And we'll take a look at kind of a depth chart for them. Obviously, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver that I was kind of mentioning before, is just got a huge payday, $130 million. So let's see here. Now, obviously, the depth charts right now are all subject to change and everything else like that. There was a brief moment before I started filming this that I was going to talk about Justin Fields and everything else, and that he had went down injured on like the first practice they had, and it was a foot turf toe thing. And I was going to lay into that and be like, oh, this is exactly how it all works out for the Jets. Ha 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 ha. You're going to be dealing with Tyrod Taylor all this year, but he seems to be back at practice and doing fairly well. So I think he's fine. He'll have a question mark week 1, just like every other potentially injured NFL player will be questionable going into the first game. And you know, the smoke and mirrors that the NFL is with everybody. But building blocks for this offense, typically a 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end set. Justin Fields, as we mentioned. Breece Hall is still your running back. Now, we'll get into him a little bit later because his numbers weren't great last year for a high value pick, especially in fantasy football. For a lot of people, he wasn't great. Garrett Wilson, as I had mentioned, is still that number 1. Josh Reynolds and Tyler Johnson, the guy they brought in from the Rams, as I mentioned before. They still have Alan Lazard. They have Malachi Corley, Jamal Pritchett, a couple of different guys that I think are going to make this roster. But those are your kind of backups and number 2s and stuff like that. Mason Taylor steps right in as your starting tight end. You really kind of didn't have anybody else. Stone Smart is the other guy I think they picked up. 4th season out of Old Dominion. Again, hasn't done a ton in the league. Offensive line, Olu Fashanu was their pick last year in the first round. John Simpson, Joe Tipman, Josh Myers, who they brought in, will be the backup. Vera Tucker, and then Membu rounds up. And again, that's a fairly good offensive line. So Justin Fields is going to be able to have some time. Even if he doesn't, he can kind of get out of trouble, which Aaron Rodgers couldn't, and everything else like that. So, I mean, you have the building blocks of the trenches, and I think that's where the Jets are going to probably have always built, and we're going to continue to build. But I think they have a pretty good unit right now. Base defense. Will McDonald, Quentin Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Jamin Davis, still a linebacker there. Jermaine Sherwood and Quincy Williams are kind of your linebackers. And then Sauce Gardner is you're building around him in the back. Tony Adams, Adam Cisco. And then Brandon Stevens seems to be the guy that they are going to play opposite of Sauce Gardner. So that's one of the more important positions, because obviously Sauce Gardner covers a lot of that other side of the field and people don't throw at him. So Brandon Stevens, I believe, played for the Ravens the last 4 years. Yeah, so he's played in 65 games. I mean, he has 2 career interceptions. Again, not monster numbers, but a good cover corner. And then Nick Folk is your kicker, and your punter is Austin McNamara. Came from Texas Tech. I don't know if anybody knew that. But those are kind of your starters as of right now and everything else like that. Some of the other pickups, they picked up Chukwuma Okafor, who played the 1 game for the Patriots last year and then decided I'm just never going to show up again. So, again, not exactly a pickup that breathes a whole lot of confidence, but somebody's going to go down. I mean, he started in the NFL for quite a bit. I mean, he was going to be a starting left tackle for the Patriots last year until he just walked out. So, now the questions and notes that I have on the Jets so far are pretty simple. Is Justin Fields the answer at quarterback, or is he just kind of passing through? I like Justin Fields. I like what he can bring you when he's playing his best. He needs a lot to play his best, including a good offensive line. I think the Jets have it. A decent wide receiving core. I think the Jets have decent targets for him. I think Garrett Wilson is a bona fide number 1 in the NFL. 101 receptions last year. So, I mean, I don't foresee him having the problems that he did maybe with Chicago or the craziness of the wide receiving core in Pittsburgh last year. He can be cut after the season, and the Jets can go draft a quarterback. 2026 projects to be a pretty good quarterback class. So even after this 1 season, they can pay him to go away and draft somebody. Now, where I think they're going to finish, they're going to have a high draft pick. I'd like to see him be successful. I don't want to see him be successful with the Jets. if that makes sense. I think he's probably just passing through. I think they threw the 2 years, $40 million at him to get him to sign. And again, he's 26. Maybe something clicks. Maybe he still has time. He's started a lot of games. He's proven that he can throw the ball. He can get out of trouble, like I've mentioned. And, at this point, you may catch lightning in a bottle. The other aspect of it is they can cut him at the end of the season. Hey, thank you for the 1 year. Have fun. Go somewhere else. We'll draft somebody and we'll try. And drafting quarterbacks, at least for the Jets, has been atrocious at best, I guess. But that is what it is. The defense has slid over the last 3 seasons, so they needed some defensive improvement. Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, obviously cornerback for a very long time, played for the Jets for a very long time. Their slide they were 4th in 2022 to 12th in 2023, and last year they were 20th. So hence where they're giving up leads late in games because the defense couldn't stop anybody. So bottom half of the league last year. Do these moves, or at least some of these moves, make any sort of difference on this defense? I mean, most of the guys they brought in on the defensive side have been backups or going to be backups. Asia Thomas, their 3rd-round draft pick out of Florida State, is considered to be the backup to Brandon Stevens. Maybe he gets a starting role. But as far as what they have here on the depth chart and here on the roster, I mean, they haven't really improved the defense all that much. Now they have different schemes. That could be something that would improve that defense. We'll have to see. Obviously, they're going to go into every kind of game and be very vanilla. I mean, the preseason, they're not going to show a whole lot of... And again, I can't stand fans that go and buy so far in one way or the other in preseason. Oh, they look amazing. They're awesome. It's preseason. It's practice, man. Oh, they look terrible. Oh, they've played like shit. Oh, well, it's preseason. It's practice. Like, regular season game 1 is where you're going to start making the basis of what this team looks like. And again, you've had teams that go 4 games and they look like shit and then all of a sudden come out of nowhere and win the rest of the year and, make a run in the playoffs. So I don't think that's this team, just so we're clear. How much breathing room is Aaron Glenn going to get as the head coach is one of the questions that I want to ask, because, again, I liked Aaron Glenn. I thought he was a solid cornerback, maybe playing for the Jets or whatnot, but I can appreciate the game. I think he ran a very good defense in Detroit for quite a few years. I think he's been quite a coach in those roles. Now he gets to be the head guy. Expectations in 2025 are very low. So, I mean, obviously he's not going anywhere after year 1 unless it completely implodes to a point of it just has to happen. But I don't foresee that being... I think they pretty much understand they're going to be roughly where they were last year. They also had a lot of penalties last year. They led the league in accepted penalties last year. And that's something I know Aaron Glenn is not going to stand for. So penalties need to be fixed. The defense needs to be fixed. I think they spent a lot of time on the offense revamping different positions, including quarterback, as mentioned. Garrett Wilson signing that long-term deal. He's going to be here for a while. He's going to make a ton of money. But Breece Hall was the one that really disappointed last year. So they thought they had a top 5 running back to put right around Aaron Rodgers, and they were going to be able to stay off balance. But his usage was so weird last year. Just looking at all of the games last year, like early in the regular season, it was 16 carries, 14 carries, 16 carries, 10 carries. He had 2 games where he had 9 carries. So didn't even break 10. He never had a game where he carried the ball 20 times, which for number 1 running back is odd. And I realize the league has probably gone to more passing and let's get down the field quickly. The Chiefs kind of model. It's just, speedy guys on the outside, throw the ball downfield. Hopefully they can get it. But running the football can't go away, won't go away. And it will make his resurgence. I mean, you look at Saquon Barkley obviously proved that he could still run the football effectively, gave a very balanced offense to the Eagles, and they won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they won strictly because of Barkley. I'm saying that running the football has value in this league. I think we've kind of stopped the growth of just the throwing type of offenses. They're still there. They're still going to be prevalent in this league, but I still feel that there's a lot of talented running backs that help balance an offense. So for last year, I mean, he only had 209 total carries in these 17 games, and he played every game. He had one game where he rushed for over 100 yards, and that was against the Buffalo Bills in October, and they still lost. So, I mean, he averaged 4 yards a carry, and yet he couldn't get 10. Sometimes in some games he didn't even get 10 carries. So what was happening with that? What happened with that usage? Where did it all kind of go wrong? And can he be the number one guy again? Can he be a top 5 running back for this team again? I have seen running backs do this throughout my life. They have great years, they have one down year, and then all of a sudden they can't seem to find that, form again. It's very rare that they do that. So I think Breece Hall is in a little bit of trouble here. Now, I don't think there's somebody really pushing for his job. I mean, Braylon Allen is going to be your backup like he was last year. He had 92 carries last year. He had injuries as well. But, I mean, he's the guy that's pushing Breece Hall. A few good games by Braylon Allen, because we've seen him, really kind of have some big games and get out of the backfield and be able to do a whole bunch of different stuff last year. I think he has a few good games. Braylon Allen's your new guy. That's just me. I mean, I'm looking too far into it. I mean, Isaiah Davis also is here as the third string right now on the depth chart, but they need to make sure they have a running back. I think you have 2 young guys that can do it. I've seen them do it, and one of them's got to step up, right? I mean, theoretically, the saying always is if you have 2 of something, if you have 2, hockey-wise, you have 2 goalies, you don't have one. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. If you have 2 running backs, it's the same kind of concept. If you're worrying about keeping 2 happy, you really don't have one. So, I've been a little optimistic with this team so far. And I've said some positive things of the Jets, which is not something you'll normally hear me say. But I think this team's going to be in 4th place in the AFC East. I think they finished dead last. I think they're going to be in the top 10 again, drafting again, which may be a good thing for them. It may be that Justin Fields just passing through, and now you can go draft the quarterback you want and build around that guy. And be able to build around him for quite a few years because you're going to be on a rookie deal, and you're going to be able to strengthen all the rest of the team. But I don't think there were significant changes to the defense. I don't think there was enough done in the positions that they lost. You don't have Devontae Adams anymore. Garrett Wilson was always number 1. He didn't really supplant Garrett Wilson for that. But Adams is gone. Rodgers is gone. And you didn't replace them with better or even in the same ballpark. Devontae Adams to Tyler Johnson. If I hadn't said it at the top of this, you couldn't have told me what Tyler Johnson stats were last year. You couldn't. Even the most diehard Jets fans couldn't have done that. So, it's a rebuilding year. And I think going into this, that. And there are other personalities out there that have, seen some good practices and they're already thinking, oh, maybe the playoffs, maybe whatever. I think the Jets are coming last in the AFC East. I think it's going to be it's a 3-way tie. It's a 3-way battle to who will come in last in the AFC East. I think the Dolphins are going to struggle. I think the Patriots have upside. I think they're going to struggle at times when we don't think that they're going to struggle. And I think the Jets are really going to struggle. Now, who beats who, when, and obviously they play twice a year with the Dolphins and the Patriots, so we'll see what happens with that. But, it's the Bills are far and away the best team in the East. The AFC East, I should say. But that's kind of where I think they'll be 5-12 again. That's where I'm going to go. Maybe 5-12 and dead last in the AFC East. That's where the Jets are finishing this year. And that delights me still, because between all the back and forth with the Jets and everything else, and obviously my team, I'd rather see them at the bottom. You know, the years that they made it to the AFC Championship game a couple years in a row under Rex Ryan and stuff like that, those were the worst times to listen to Jets fans, because they thought they were a step away, and they just weren't anywhere close. So it still delights me that they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle mightily this year. I think you'll get some glimpses of where they're going to go, but I think Aaron Glenn's first year, you're rebuilding. So with all that, again, Jets fans, please email loftsidebanter@gmail.com. That's loftsidebanter @gmail.com. Visit the website loftsidebanter.com. Let me know what you think about your team. Let me know what I got wrong, who I missed, things that you've seen, and everything else like that. Just come visit. Let me know. You want to come on a show and you want to argue with me? Go for it. I'm still going to tell you they're going to finish last in the AFC East. Sorry, not sorry. But that's it for the Jets preview. I will come back with the New England Patriots preview. I'm sure everybody's so excited to hear me rant and rave about the Patriots. It is not going to be as good as you think it will be. So, all right. Have a good one, everyone.